We were talking one time, and I realized what he was trying to say very politely, and I said, Chad, I think what you're saying is, when I shut up, we get to communion. And yeah, that's what he was saying very politely. But to Chet's family, thank you for sharing him with us. It's hard to express the level of gratitude I feel in my heart for that. Chet was a treasure. He was. And we're going to miss him very much. And the fact that you would so generously share him with us means the world. If you look over there, those are the people that carry this church. They carry it through prayer, through their love, and that was his backup family. Yeah? And they're all here at Chet's Mass. That's the 8 a.m., wherever it is. And we even put a crucifix there where he always sat. Because that's his spot. And if you feel someone glaring at you, second row, might be Chet. Yeah. This community here that you see again over there, steady diet, of food, which is ironic, a steady supply of food and prayers and love, just like you guys did. And I was proud to be a part of that too, to go see him and pray with him and talk to him. Just thank you. I'd like to tell you the first 2 times I met Chet, because it's kind of funny. It was our old church, and I had been pastor here for about 35 minutes. And I came into church to pray. And I was praying because these poor people, I'm their priest now. And I realized, and I'm a fat man, I never get cold. I was cold. And I looked around, and there were a lot of elderly people praying, and they were clearly cold. And then this guy rolls up and sits next to me, and he says, Father, I think we should turn on the heat. And I said, I agree. I have no idea how to do that. Yeah. And he said, I bet I can figure it out. I didn't know this guy. I had no clue who he was. It could have been, it could have been anybody. But of course it was Chet. And the heat came on. And I still don't know how he did it. I think he did an exorcism, but that was the first time I met him. The second time was my last parish. I have a dog. You met him. And I used to bring him to church with me. And I didn't think about it when I moved here, the difference between a country parish and a city parish. So I brought my dog with Mass, and our bishop got calls. Yeah. And so he called me. He's like, don't bring your dog to church. And I thought about the fact that he really can't fire me, but also that I promised obedience. So I left the dog home, and then heating and cooling guy, Chet, kind of came up, where's the dog? And I said, well, Chet, somebody wrote the bishop, and he called and said, I don't want your dog in church. Well, I'm going to write the bishop. So Chet wrote the bishop. It didn't work, but I knew he cared. So those were my first 2 times meeting him. And everything I got to know about Chet later, I was like, that's Chet. Yeah, that's him. That's so him. So we had some rituals, guys, with Chet here at Holy Family. And one of them was, and this beautiful group over here was praying a rosary and divine mercy and all kinds of prayers before Mass. The church would shake with this violent banging, and it was Chet trying to get in that locked door. Yeah. It's that door over there. You cannot open it from the outside. But I think Chet was fairly sure that someday he could open it from the outside. And in the meantime, brother wasn't going to quit. So somebody would get up and open the door, and Chet would come in and pray. But wasn't that a knock? I mean, it shook the church. You were like, Chet's coming in to pray, and nothing's going to stop him. I loved that ritual. I did. I loved little Jack, sitting with him in that pew. My dog, when no one was here, I brought him in church yesterday, and these guys will back me up, because I was like, Chet will be happy in heaven. He won't write the bishop from heaven. We're trying to stop that from happening. So I brought my knucklehead dog in, and the first thing he did was ran to Chet's pew because Jack's treats, it turned out, were my dog's treats as well. And I know I sound like a crazy person. I swear he looked for Chet and Jack. And that really, yeah. So every Mass, when I'd process out, I would stop and I'd bless little Jack, and I'd ask Jesus to keep him alive and keep him strong. And nothing made Chet happier than that. And even like when the little kids are at Mass, then they take his seat, which he didn't mind, so we moved over there, right? And he would sit right where on the end of this pew, and as soon as Mass ended, Jack would kind of his imitation of run, right? It was kind of a lumbering, yeah. Jack would run down the end of the pew and park at the end until I blessed him. And one time I missed, and Chet brought him back to the back of church. You didn't bless Jack. It was a really cool ritual. He had a ritual of praying the rosary, I think 83 times a day. Might have been 82, I don't want to exaggerate. He prayed the Chaplet of Divine Mercy. He prayed with these beautiful people, and I got to pray with him every day. And that makes me really blessed. We had all kinds of rituals with Chet, and all of them went back to what I think is the core of him. He just loved God, and he loved you, and he loved us. And we're so stinking blessed. I know he was, and I talked to him a lot about the worries about purgatory, yeah? And I told him, in fact, that was my mom's nickname for me growing up, purgatory. It was that or Satan, and she decided on purgatory. But, you know, I just like, Chet, God's just goofy for you. He just loves you. You don't have to worry. He's never going to hurt you. And I know that was hard for him. I do. And I couldn't shake it for him. I just couldn't. But he doesn't have that fear anymore. He doesn't have that worry anymore. Just a few days ago, think about it. He opened his eyes and saw what he's longed for his whole life. You're home. No more pain, no more sorrow, no more fear, no more nothing. And I know it's cheesy, and I don't care. Jack was there. Yeah. I think he was skinnier. Yeah, but Jack was there. Okay. And I really want to go on and on. I do, but I can't. Well, I can. I shouldn't. But what struck me last night was we developed a new ritual as Chet slowed down. We had one where I'd be moving from there to here for communion, yeah? And since that was his spot, and Catholics don't sit in the front row unless there's a funeral or a wedding, yeah? So Chet was always the first dude in line, and he would look at me, and then I'd give him the man nod, you know, the upside down smile, you know, and then he'd move up to the line. He started the line every time, and he made sure he was looking at me till it was time. I nod, he comes. And we did that for 4 years, right? 4 years, every Mass. But then as Chet started to slow down, I would get closer to the pew. It was less about Chet coming to me and more about me coming to Chet until the last, what would you guys say, month or two, I just went right to his pew. And I was thinking of that last night and how, like, Chet's whole life, he just locked eyes on Jesus. And when Jesus called, he came. And then they met in the middle, you know? God met Chet where he's at. Chet met God where he could. And there was this beautiful exchange, right? And I think it's a good image for the end of his life. He was just getting closer and closer to heaven every day. That it was less a matter of Chet coming to God and more God coming to him. And I was really struck by that. So when we do a funeral, The church says the goal is that God strengthen our hope in the resurrection. And I hope this does. I do. I hope the echo of eternity is hitting you right now, and the recognition that nothing that you experienced in the goodness of this beautiful man is gone forever. None of it. We will never forget. And we also pray that God will get him home. So again, I thank you with all of my heart. This was your gift to us, and we are crazy blessed. And especially, again, did I say this about letting us do this at 8 at Chet's Mass? Okay, good. We'll have to rename it now. But thank you for that. And know that it's part of our custom here that his name is now in this book. And every year on the week of his death, we will say his name every day. Every year on the anniversary of his death, we will pray for him. And all of that out of gratitude. So I pray that Jesus bless your broken hearts. I do. I pray that he give all of us the strength and the joy of knowing this is the outcome for all of us. The only question God has for us is, will you keep coming to me? Will you let me come to you? And if the answer is yes, we need not worry. Amen? Okay.